One reason is that current rules demand heights of 90 and 120 meters. Back in 1980, it was only 70 and 90 meters. Even the old 1980 Olympic flame cauldron still stands where all the athletes gathered for the opening ceremony. The weather in the Adirondack Park can change in a matter of minutes. But even if the landscape is draped in low cloud and mist, its beauty can still be appreciated for its dramatic splendor. This enormous park occupies about a quarter of New York State, and much of it is a wilderness, with only a few intrepid visitors venturing into the remoter parts, where in the distant past Mohawk Indians once hunted. West of the Adirondack Park is the DeGrasse State Forest, one of 40 such state forests, which are heavily protected and together add up to around 19 million acres. The Thousand Islands is the name of an archipelago which straddles the border between the United States and Canada in the St. Lawrence River. The islands run for about 50 miles, and the Canadian islands are in the province of Ontario, with the American islands in the state of New York. There are, in fact, many more islands than 1,000, and actually number close to 1,800, ranging in size from 40 square miles to islands occupied by a single residence, and even smaller uninhabited rocks that are home to migratory waterfowl. The number of islands has been determined using the criteria that any island must be above water level all year round, bigger than 1 square foot, and support at least one living tree. The area is very popular among vacationers, campers and boaters, and is often referred to as the freshwater boating capital of the world. During the late 19th century, several fantasy castles were built on the islands for wealthy industrialists. Singer Castle on Dark Island is one of them. It was originally called the Towers, and the inspiration for its design came from castles mentioned in the novels of the Scottish writer Sir Walter Scott. It was built for the sewing machine magnate Frederick Gilbert Bourne, president of the Singer Manufacturing Company. He died shortly after the castle was completed, and since then it has changed hands several times. The castle comes complete with dungeons, peepholes, and underground passageways. A few miles upriver and past other islands is another fantasy castle, which has a tragic story behind it, and left the castle on Hart Island deserted for 73 years. A hart deer stands proudly on the roof of Boldt Castle, designed to be one of the largest private houses in America. The 6-story castle was going to be an international landmark, and the island was to have other fantasy buildings as well. The castle was named after George Boldt, who owned hotels including the Waldorf Astoria in New York. He employed hundreds of workers to begin the building program in 1900 for him and his family. 4 years later, all work stopped, as tragically his wife suddenly died, and George Bolt simply halted the work, never setting foot on the island again. The house was bought in 1977 by a conservation body for $1, on the understanding it would be restored back to life. To date, some $15 million has been spent. On one end of the island is a small Gothic castle, which was to house the power plant that would supply electricity for the house. And on the other end of the island is Ulster Tower, a rustic-style folly. On an adjacent island is Bolt Yacht House, which could house several tall-masted boats. It also has a distinctive design, complementing the other astonishing buildings on Hart Island itself.